So the next question we have is, how do you improve the quality of your innovation disclosure, right? How do you improve what gets captured? That's kind of an important question, because the more information you can get into the process, the easier it is to do the evaluations, the easier it is for somebody to write it up. And often there's key gating factors, like innovation that's too old, stale innovation. So if that's been released to the public, is foreclosed from pursuit of patent rights outside the US. In the US, we have a 1-year grace period. But if it's more than a year old and it's been out there or something like that, you want to be able to ask those questions so that you don't go through the approval process and hand out to be drafted a patent application that has no chance of being valid down the line. So there's a bunch of questions that are often on these innovation forms that help gather the detail, gather, what the problem is being solved, what the solution is, what competitors are doing, other ways that beyond what you've decided to commercialize, other ways to go about accomplishing the same thing. All these questions with regard to these deadlines and these statutory bars that would prevent you from filing a patent. Some sort of indication of the value to the enterprise, right? And I've seen very complex sets of questions depending on the information that's needed by the people that are evaluating it. And contact information for who you think the inventors are, right? Whether that be email, if that's the preferred way, or phone numbers, or both. Ultimately, if the patent's filed, the city and state of residency for each inventor, and when you think about foreign rights, and there's certain issues with regard to nationality, so which country they are a citizen of is important to have. So those forms, the questions, have a reason why they're there. Often it's intimidating, especially the long evolved forms are very intimidating, and you get less engagement if people pick up the form and they can't make any sense of it. So I think if you want to get quality innovation disclosure, it takes training and socialization, right? Everybody has their mentors within the enterprise. If they can ask a question, or maybe there's a designated person. Maybe you're lucky enough to be able to afford an on-site, on-staff patent attorney. But it also could be just, somebody who's very familiar with the process or been through it before or kind of knows it. I think what's very helpful too is to have some training to explain the program, explain how the form works, all the other mechanics. Maybe there's an incentive program. Training always helps increase engagement and gets people to fill out these forms more completely. Because ultimately that form with all the information is going to get a more deliberate consideration by who's ever approving ideas for filing patents. And then once it goes to that patent prosecutor who's going to draft your patent application, a lot of those questions are very helpful to make sure that they're not delaying in an inordinate amount of time to preclude some of your rights. And they can get all these other questions answered. Because if you can answer it before an attorney asks, you're going to save a lot of money, as it turns out. So quality innovation capture is very important. But don't be afraid, like if the form is asking for something, often you can staple something to the back of the form, right? Here's a presentation that I gave. Here's an engineering document. Here's a white paper. The people that are evaluating this and the person who's drafting the patent application, they have technical knowledge. They can review that. You don't want to slow down the process so much so that somebody feels as though they have to write up something or that. It just is a stumbling block in the way of a process that has to happen pretty quickly generally. So include the stuff that you have that might be relevant, a very good description, and then that is what passes for quality when you're doing innovation capture. So I hope that answers the questions. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and put in the comments any other questions that you might want answered next time. Thank you.